Hi guys, I'm Melissa and I'm back with another video, and today I'm going to be doing a wrap-up video. I was talking about doing this in my latest video, weekend reads video, where I have read close to 20 books since my last wrap-up update. So because of that, I've decided to divide the wrap-up videos into two sessions of 10 books. Even though I usually think that 5 book reviews is better because then I won't be making too many long videos. But yeah, let's get into them before this video becomes way too long. And this video will contains books 66 to 75 of the books that I read this year. And the 66th book that I read this year was Stories of Your Life and Others by Ted Chiang. I already have a full spoiler-free review up on my channel of this, and I really loved it and gave it 5 out of 5 stars. If you want to know more about this, then definitely check out that review. I'm going into my ratings of each and every story in there and my reasons for them. The 67th thing that I read this year was Pendricks Diamond by Lois McMaster Bujold. And this is the first book in the Pendrick and Desdemona series. These are novellas set in the worlds of 5 gods or something. And I wasn't actually sure if this is what I should start out with concerning this world, or if I should just start out with the first book in the series, which I forgot what it's called. I think something Chalion or something like that. But I decided to go with this one, as this was some prequel novels set before that, and maybe that will help me when I get to the actual novels. And this follows this man called Lord Pendrick one day when he stumbles upon an accident and finds an elderly lady who's about to pass away, and she's an important person in this world, sort of a server for the gods in this world, and so she transfers her powers off to him as she's dying, and this obviously changes his life completely, and he's now sort of in danger of those who are either envying him or scared of him. So yeah, it was a very brief novella, but I really enjoyed it and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. And the 68th thing that I read this year was A Natural History of Dragons by Maria Brennan. This is the first book in the Lady Trent series, and this is a series that's set in the 1800s, so a historical setting, and it follows this girl who's completely obsessed with dragons and has always been obsessed with it. Obviously this is not something that's seen as something normal that women do, but on her wedding day, when she's about to be married to her husband, her father gives her a book, A Natural History of Dragons, and this sort of spins this story into motion. And this is only the beginning of the adventures, because one day she convinces her husband to take her along on a dragon expedition. Even though it takes a while, she manages to convince him it's a good idea, and so that's where the story sort of takes off. And it was a little slow at times in the beginning, and yeah, but I really did enjoy the relationship between her and her husband. I felt like, considering this is set in the 1800s, they actually had a relationship where she had some rights, if you will, and so that was nice to see. And then the last half of it was really interesting, and I really enjoyed that, so I ended up giving this 3.5 out of 5 stars. The next thing I read this year was Down Among the Sticks and Bones by Shauna Maguire. This is book 2 in the Wayward Children series, and this is sort of portal fantasy, and the first book is obviously Every Heart a Doorway, and this is actually a prequel story, so it's set before the events of Every Heart a Doorway, and we follow Jack and Jill. First we hear about how they grew up, how terrible parenting can be sometimes when they just want their kids to be as they want them to be, instead of letting them be who they are. But it also obviously follow them into their portal and the events that happens in there. It's a really short book, and I absolutely loved it. I think this one was better than the first. I really like Jack and Jill, and I really enjoyed seeing their stories in here. it's mostly told from one of the girls, and yeah, I just loved it. 5 out of 5 stars. The next thing and 70th thing that I read this year was The Dark Prophecy by Rick Riordan. This is book 2 in the Trials of Apollo series. And yeah, this was not really very good. I didn't really enjoy the first book in the series either. I really think that this is lacking a lot, and I think the main character is the problem. I don't really like Apollo at all. He's very whiny and annoying and self-absorbed, and yeah, I know it's probably because he used to be a god and now he's taking that immortality away from him, but still, oh, it's annoying to hear everything from him. What held this book up though was that Leo, my favorite character in all of Rick Riordan's books, which is he's part of the Heroes of Olympus mostly, was having a big part in this one, and that saved the story for me, but I give this one 3 out of 5 stars. The next thing I read was Earth Abides by George R. Stewart. This is the first book that I read in my science fiction Masterworks project. And yeah, I'm gonna have a full review of this soon. I haven't filmed it yet, and so I think that it will be up after this video, and so definitely look out for it. I gave it 3 stars, but I still think it was really worth reading. It's just there were some problematic things about this because it was written in the time that it was, and it was a little cluttering in the pace of the story, how it went back and forth, but I ultimately loved the message that came out of it at the end, and for that I want to still recommend this to anyone who's interested in science fiction. The next thing I read was Traitor's Blade by Sebastian de Castell. This is the first book in the Greatcoat series, and I was recommended Samo as Sam's Nonsense for this, and I really enjoyed it. Her ways of explaining that it's a mix of the Gentleman Bastard series and the Three Musketeers. I haven't read the Gentleman Bastard series, so I can't say anything about that, which is something I'll get to sometime as well. Hopefully. So many books, so little time, you know. Anyway, I can say that I did see the similarities to the Three Musketeers. I've watched several adaptations, and I read the kids' versions of the Three Musketeers when I was a kid. Not the long real one, but so I know the story and I know the tone and humor of that story. And that is sort of the vibe I got from this. And I really enjoyed it, and I loved the characters. Were really interesting, and I was really invested in their stories and how they were going to get out of the different situations that they happened to be in. And then he also managed to pull some twists that I didn't see coming, and that was really interesting. So I ended up giving this 4.5 out of 5 stars, and I'm definitely intrigued to see what will happen in the next one. I hope we find out even more about the other 2 Greatcoats, because this was mostly Falcio's story, because we were seeing this from his perspective. I don't know if it's new perspectives in the later ones or if it's still Falcio, but I do really hope that I'll know more about Kestan Brasti. Sorry, Kestan Brasti. I'm so terrible through remembering names, but love this. The next thing I read was White Witch Black Curse by Kim Harrison. This is book 7 in the Hollow series or Rachel Morgan series, depending on, it's called both things. And this follows Rachel Morgan, who is a witch, and she sort of has some problems with some demons, and she is originally a white witch, which means that she's doing white magic, and so the magic she's doing is the good kind of magic, and then there's black magic, which is obviously other things. But because of her, sometimes she had to experiment with things, and it doesn't always go the right way. Let's just keep it at that. I can't really get into a lot of details about this particular book, but I have really been enjoying the books up until now. I felt like this was really lacking compared to the others, but still entertaining, And I hope that we'll get back to the real in the next book. I think one of my main reasons for not liking this one as much is because one of my favorite characters, Trenton Calamack, has not really been part of this particular book, but I did end up giving this 3.5 out of 5 stars, and I'm definitely interested in reading the next one, whenever that might be. The next thing I read was When Dimple Met Rishi by Sandhya Menon, or whatever her name is. I body read this with Riley from Arm Fig Fact, and this book is so not worth all of the hype that it gets. I get that you want diversity in books. I want diversity in books, but I also want those diverse books to actually have a solid plot that makes sense and that's cool and fun. When I read about this book, I was super excited because it was about a girl who was Indian American. She was going to this computer science camp where she was going to be competing with others to program the best app. And then there's this added thing with her meeting the boy that her parents secretly has arranged a marriage with without her knowing. And I think that sounds really, really amazing. But the thing is, it was never about the camp, the actual computer camp, which I wanted to see more of her working on this app, of her working in this computer, on this program, this app, and following the thought process to how they get to the end with that. But it was never about the actual computer camp. It was always only about her falling in love with Rishi, even though she was this person at the beginning who didn't care about any guys. She didn't want any guys. I realized you can get infatuated with people, but man, could you have just toned down on the love story a little bit and added a little more depth to the plot? That would have been nice. And then, as if we didn't already have a competition going, she decided to add a talent show just so that you could add Bollywood into the scene. And that's just stupid. I'm sorry, but that's really stupid. When I was talking to you last time, I think I said I wanted to give this 3 stars because I actually enjoyed the first 150 pages something. But the more I think about it, the more annoyed I get. And so I've dropped it down a notch and gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars instead. Yeah, not worth the hype. And is it wrong of me that now when I've read this and I don't really enjoy it as much as I thought I would, and I have seen so many 5-star reviews where they don't have any critiques at all towards the book, anything, that I start to feel like I don't trust their reviews any longer of other books, and that's just how I've been feeling about all of those 5-star reviews. I'm like, yeah, now I don't think I can take you seriously any longer. I get that there's different opinions, and I get that there are reasons why some people love a book 5 stars, and some people don't. But yeah, everyone said that they loved this book because of the representation in this. Why do we only love the books because of the representation? Shouldn't it be both the representation and the plot? That's what I want. I want a good story. I don't only just want a great representation. I want both. And that's not what I got in this book. And it annoys me so much. And yeah. So my advice, don't pick this book up unless you want. As I said, representation is good. I feel like we did get some aspects of the Indian culture into this, and that was good. But everything else, it fell flat. Didn't make sense at all. I know this is a debut novel, but I've read debut novels that are much stronger than this, that also has great representation. So nope. Rant over. And the final thing that I'm going to talk about today is The Dispossessed by Ursula Le Guin. I'm going to be having a review of this as well on my channel. So definitely something you should look out for if you're interested in my thoughts. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I really loved the writing style, and I can't wait to read more by Ursula Le Guin. I think she was absolutely amazing writing this book. This is part of the stack that I read for the past couple of months. A mix of things, both rating wise and genre wise, but I was happy with my reading for the most part, and I can't wait to share some more books with you in the future. Definitely let me know in the comments down below what you've been reading recently, and if you've read any of the books that I have read, and if you agree about any of the things that I said. Yeah, if you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I'll see you in my next video very, very soon. Goodbye!